Namaskar children, good morning. So I think you are clear with the inflorescence part, and also I hope you would have understood the leaf portion. So what was inflorescence? It was arrangement of cluster of flowers on the floral axis, and we called that as inflorescence. And how many types of inflorescence are there? One is racemose or racemose inflorescence, and then the cymose inflorescence. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the next part, which is the flower. So we learned about inflorescence, how the flowers are arranged in the floral axis. Now we will learn about the structure of the flower. Okay, so the flower, it is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. We know that, right? So they are acting as the reproductive part, and this reproductive part, it is meant for sexual reproduction. Okay, now if you take the structure of a flower, this is the structure of a flower, right? So you would have studied about the different parts of flower, right? So we can see the lower portion, which is the stalk or the pedicel, and then the thalamus, then comes the ovary, that is the pistil portion, then the stamen, then petal, sepal. So these parts we have studied in a lower class itself. Now we are going to learn about each of these parts in detail. So let us learn from the pedicel portion. So a flower has a stalk, which is called as pedicel. Okay, so flower has a stalk-like structure, which is called as pedicel, and its swollen end is called as the thalamus. So this pedicel's swollen end is called as the thalamus. Swollen end means the end portion of the pedicel is forming a swollen part, which is called as thalamus or receptacle. Okay, now if you see the part other than the pedicel, that is below the pedicel, we are able to find some reduced leaf-like structures. Okay, so the pedicel's end portion, it has a swollen part, which is the receptacle or thalamus, and the starting portion of the pedicel, that is at the base of the pedicel, it has leaf-like structures which are in a reduced size. Okay, so they are the reduced leaves, like leaves na pola atra veldairikkulla, they will be reduced in their size. So smaller leaf-like structures are seen. Okay, so reduced leaves are found at the base of the pedicel, and it is termed as brackets. Okay, and it is this reduced leaf, it is not found in base of all the flowers pedicel. Okay, so flowers with brackets are called. So what are brackets? Brackets are reduced leaf. Okay, for reduced leaves we are calling it as bracket, and the flower which has brackets are called as bracteate. So flowers which have brackets are called bracteate, and those flowers who do not have these brackets. So what are brackets? They are reduced leaf. So those flowers who do not have these brackets are called as ebracteate. Okay, so flowers with bracteates are called bracteate, and those without brackets are called ebracteate. Clear? Now let us learn about the other parts of the flower. So a typical flower has 4 kinds of whorls arranged on thalamus. Okay, very normal flower eduttal, we are able to find 4 kinds of whorls. Okay, now what are these whorls? Whorls are nothing but they are pattern of concentric circles. So if you see this, you can see a whorl here, a rounded structure where the different part of the flower is present. So again it will have a concentric circle which will have different parts in it. So again it will have another circle structure which will have other part. Okay, so a typical flowers has 4 kinds of whorls. 4 തരത്തിലുള്ള whorls ആണ്, concentric circles ആണ് ഉള്ളത്. Okay, so it is a pattern. ഇങ്ങനെ round ആയിട്ടുള്ള structures ആണ് ഉള്ളത്. So there are 4 kinds of whorls which are arranged on thalamus. So where is these whorls present? എവിടെയാണ് ഒരു ഫ്ലവറിന്റെ എല്ലാ പാർട്ടും arrange ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്? It is on this thalamus, which is the swollen portion, and thalamus is also called as receptacle. Okay, and the different structures which we see on the thalamus are calyx. What is it? Calyx, which is nothing but it is the sepal. So we know what a sepal, petal and all those things. We are now going to learn about a few terms which is used to denote the different parts of the flower. Okay, so if you take the case of the sepal, it is called as calyx. What is it? Calyx. What is the difference between the sepal and calyx? They both are same. If it is a single one, we are calling it as sepal, and all the sepals together we call it as calyx. So I told that a typical flower has 4 kinds of whorls, right? So our first whorl we are able to find the sepal. Okay, so one single part of it is called a sepal, and our whorl ella structures, I mean ella sepals together it is called as calyx. Okay, and then comes the next part, which is the corolla. Okay, now what is corolla? After the sepal, the part which is present in the flower is the petals. Okay, so corolla is nothing but it is the petal. You can see it here. So one single petal is called as, one single part of it is called as petal, and the when together it is called as corolla. Understood it? Okay, now let us see about the next part. So we have seen what is present in the outermost whorl and the whorl next to it, right? Now we are going to learn about the next 2 whorls, right? So the next 2 part of the flower is the androecium and gynoecium. Okay, and this androecium is also called as the stamen. Okay, a single stamen, a single part of the male reproductive system is called as the stamen, and together they are called as androecium. And same way, the pistil or the carpel is termed as the gynoecium. Okay, so the structure together it is termed as gynoecium, and stamen is called as the androecium. Now, the calyx and the corolla are the accessory organs, and the main organs for sexual reproduction are the androecium and gynoecium. So they are the reproductive organs, while the calyx and corolla are the accessory organs. Why is the term called as accessory organs given for calyx and corolla? It is because these organs are the one who protect the important organs. Now, which are the important organs of the flower? It will be the male and the female reproductive part. So only when these structures are present, they can produce young ones. So it is protected with the help of the accessory organs. Okay, other than protection, they also do other functions also. Okay, so the outermost whorl of a flower is the calyx, which is called as sepal. Then next to it is the corolla, which is called as the petals, and next to it is the androecium, which is called as the stamen, and in the last whorl we can see the presence of gynoecium, which is called as carpel or pistil. Okay, so these are the different parts of the flower. Right, children, clear with this? So please by heart these names. It is very important. You will be using only this name throughout the chapter. So calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Okay, now let us move on to the next part. So I hope you are clear with the different parts of the flower, and these different parts they are seen in different ways in different plants. So in some flowers like lily, the calyx portion and the corolla portion are not distinct. It means that ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ ഈ പിക്ചറിൽ കാണുന്ന പോലെ it is not separated from one another in flowers like lily. So petals and the sepals are not distinct. Distinct means they are not kept separate from one another in few flowers. Okay, and example of such flower is the lily. So in lily you can see it here. It is attached to the pistil. Okay, ഈ സെപ്പലും പിസ്റ്റലും ഒരുമിച്ചുള്ള പോലെയാണ് ഉള്ളത്. They are not distinct. Okay, they are not completely separated as like this picture. Okay, and this is termed as perianth. Okay, so when calyx and corolla are not distinct, it is termed as perianth. Okay, now let us learn about the next part, which is the different types of flowers. What is this types of flowers? So based on differences in the arrangement, in the symmetry and different things, flowers can be divided into different types. Okay, so we will learn about the types of flowers with the help of presence of male and female reproductive part. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഫ്ലവറിൽ മെയിൽ റീപ്രൊഡക്റ്റീവ് പാർട്ടും ഫീമെയിൽ റീപ്രൊഡക്റ്റീവ് പാർട്ടും ഉണ്ടാവും. അത് ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് we can divide the flower, and depending upon the symmetry which they have, flowers can be divided, and depending upon the number of floral appendages. Okay, number of floral appendages are nothing but the number of floral parts, like the number of calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium in the flower. Based on that, they can be divided. And also based on the position of calyx, corolla, androecium and the ovary, they can again be divided. So we learned just the typical flower structure. Okay, now we are going to learn about the types of flowers. In that types of flowers, you will be learning about the presence of male and female reproductive system. Then you will learn, depending upon the symmetry, how the flowers are divided, and depending upon the number of floral appendages, how the flowers are of different types, and then based on the position of calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, how are the flowers divided. Okay, so one by one we will start. So first let us start with the presence of the male or the female reproductive system. So when a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, so which is the male reproductive system? It is the androecium, because it is the stamen. Okay, and which is the female reproductive system? It is the gynoecium, which is the pistil or carpel. So when a flower has both androecium and gynoecium in the same flower, we are calling it as bisexual flowers. So based on the sex organs present in the flower, they can be divided into two. One is the bisexual flower. So what are bisexual flowers? When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is called as bisexual flower. So what you see in this hibiscus flower, so it has both male and the female reproductive part, that is androecium and gynoecium are present here. Okay, and when a flower has either androecium or only the gynoecium, it is called as unisexual flower. Okay, so if a flower is bisexual, bi means two, so it should have androecium and gynoecium. And when a flower has either only androecium or only gynoecium, so both these parts will not be seen in one flower. ഒരു ഫ്ലവറിൽ മെയിൽ പാർട്ടും ഫീമെയിൽ പാർട്ടും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. So such flowers are called as unisexual flowers. Okay, so based upon the presence of male and female sex organs, flowers can be of two types: bisexual, unisexual. Bisexual means flower which has androecium and gynoecium, and unisexual means flower which has either androecium or gynoecium in a flower. Okay, now example of unisexual flowers are papaya, corn. These are all examples of unisexual flower. And examples of bisexual flowers are rose, lily, sweet potato, then China rose or hibiscus. All these are examples of bisexual flowers. Now let us move on to the next part. Now let us learn about the different types of flowers based on the symmetry. Okay, so we will learn what are the different types of symmetry which we see in flowers. So before that, what is symmetry? I hope you have studied that in 9th standard, I think so. So symmetry is nothing but it is the balanced arrangement of body parts around a central point or axis. You can see here, right? So it is a balanced arrangement of the body parts. So different parts of the flowers will be arranged in a balanced form around a central point or axis. Okay, so that is called as symmetry. Let us now learn about the types of symmetry.